rather quickly here, but Toshka isn't going to go down without a fight here, and he thinks patrons are strong, as everybody does, so he's going to choose them again versus Orange's Druid here, who has the coin, which is one of the 3 things you really want as Druid, right? The second is the Wild Growth, and the third is an Innervate. Let's see if you can get any more of those tools to succeed on the tempo side of things. Double Execute actually not too terrible here, but that is an insane starting end from Orange. That curve, man, that curve. Coin, Wild Growth, Shade, and the Shredder for turn 2 and 3 is pretty crazy. And he's just going to go for it here. Druid, one of those decks that is very rewarding if you get the right hand, and if you get your good tempo, it's just crazy actually, because it seems like it's not even fair. But if you draw badly with it, especially against aggro or the patrons, which is like the most unforgiving deck, there's just nothing you can do, and you just get absolutely shreked. Wow, double Shade pickup as well. That's actually pretty big, because the only hard removal that Toshka has, or that Patron has in general in this meta right now, are Executes and sometimes Shield Slams. So 2 spells that don't do anything versus that Shade. Some Brawls have been picked up. Like yesterday in the NA Qualifier, we saw some Brawls. But overall, they don't really get played at all. So Treader's going to be shredded here. Vitality Totem doesn't matter. It's going to allow him to no Mission Bender. It's actually a really good drop here for MephisToshka. He's going to like that one. Warsound Commander picked up. It's nice for patrons. Asher Drake off the top is pretty sick for Orange, though. And he's going to think about trading this. There's no merit to do that, so. Druid of the Claw picked up as well for even more tempo. Death Spite off the top here for MephisToshka. He could play it, especially because he has the patrons next turn, but he has no Inner Rage to make more than 2, so I don't know how good that is. He has a Slam for a better clear on the Drake here. Plus he gets a draw off of that. I think I like that a little bit more.
What now?
So basically this matchup is all up to Orange, right? It depends on his draws. If he makes a huge board and there's no Brawl for Toshka, which I don't think there is. I mean, we've seen some, as I said, but like I don't think there is. There's nothing really Toshka can do except double Execute. And if he's out of Executes and still doesn't have like a big board versus, or patrons up versus those big minions of the Druid, it's going to get hard. All right, there's a Wrath. Shouldn't matter too much. You could play Shade and Wrath, but what are you Wrathing, right? There's no good Wrath here. You could charge the Druid of the Claw, actually. That's going to make your opponent Death Spite, but you could do that. If you taunt it up, we know there's an Execute coming. The one thing that you can't do is attack with your Shade. Unless you want to attack with your Shade and with your Druid of the Claw and hope for your opponent to only execute one of them. Which he is, but he's going to attack the other one with Death Spite. So this is one of the turns where Toshka can come back on this board, and Orange really has to think about what he's doing. He does have the Force of Nature to come back, but Force of Nature in this matchup is only really useful to like clear either Frothings or like what's on the board right now, but that just allows for a lot of damage. He's going to go face with the Shade instead of trading here. That looks good against Execute in the first place, but it might only trigger one Execute on the Bear Taunt here, and yeah, make it Death Spite. Possible as well. There's actually a couple of ways to do this. It feels like Toshka's going to be able to come back from this, unless there's going to be something big off the top here for Orange, like Dr. Boom. So let's say he does come back on this board, right? Like, let's say he dominates it on the next turn, right? There's nothing that Orange really has on the board except like maybe that Shade in his hand to really deal with everything. Even then, the one thing that Toshka has to watch out for is his life total, because he is at 15, right? We all know that magical number 14 for the combo. And there's a combo in hand actually for Orange. Shredder off the top is pretty sick together with the Shade here. Wow, and forget about all that tempo I just talked about. This is almost lethal next turn with Savage War Swipe. Unless Toshka has something to say about this. He actually needs to think about this. How much damage is that with Savage War? Because I don't see Toshka using his Whirlwind effect just yet. That Vitality Totem could actually make a difference here.
I
It's actually only lethal next turn with the Vitality Totem. Okay, he's going for the super safe version here. That's going to keep him alive. He's going to get 2 armor off of this, clear 2 minions, and Battle Rage. Draw 3 cards off of that. There's an Aspirant. That's actually never good off the Shredder, right? Because you don't get the Battle Cry effect, so that's actually really not useful at all. He's going to think about whether or not he wants to Battle Rage one of his 2 minions here. It's worth thinking about. It's not going to do too much, though. You don't want to do it on the Ghoul. I mean, that Shade is staying alive. Like, we know that much. So if you Wrath Savage Roar, you can't swipe. Is he going to silence with that, or is he just going to use the Keeper to do damage? I guess you do it to do damage. Or you play it to do damage. The problem is that on the next turn, like if he doesn't do enough damage, Patrons and Warsong Commander are just going to come down together. And as long as that Armorsmith still stays alive, he's going to get out of combo range as well and dominate the board. So Orange can't set up lethal here if he does it correctly. I'm pretty sure that. So both players actually rocking the Warrior and the Druid. Only difference is that Toshka's playing a Warlock and Orange is playing that Hunter, which he already got the win with. And he's just going to try to set up lethal here. Yeah, I like this. I don't know what Toshka can do here. Some Patron magic, I guess. Actually, all he has to do is slam that Aspirant to stop combo from happening. Like slam or Fiery War Axe that. That's all he has to do. You don't want to execute. Actually, you can charge into that as well. Yeah, wow. I completely saw this wrong. He just has to charge into that. Because you're afraid of combo only if your opponent has 9 mana, right? Like, he can save himself 1 more turn and even get a lot of Patrons off of this charge. How many Patrons is that? 4? The only problem with these Patrons is that they all die to swipe. That rarely happens. Oh, unless he interrages as well. Okay, yeah. It's actually a good choice. For exactly that reason. Get in here. So no combo possible unless the Innervate gets drawn. Innervate's lethal. Wrath. That helps, though. Wrath swipe clears the board. If he decides to attack with his Shade. Wait, what? He's not swiping the Patron. Okay, wants to get the charge out of the way instead. I like that. Maybe the reason behind that is saying, all right, the only thing I die to here is a, like, OTK combo with the Frothing Berserker. And I have the Shade set up. He can't do anything against this if I don't attack. So I have guaranteed 19 damage next turn. So he's hoping for his opponent not to have the shield block here, and he doesn't, right? I mean, it's 19 damage with the Shade, because that goes up to 5 attack, sorry. No, is it 20 even? No, it's 21? Is that 21 damage? It's 21 damage next turn. Jesus, there's a shield block. Is that enough, though? Shield block armor up. Is that exactly 21? He goes to exactly 21 HP, right? So this should be exact lethal? If I did my math correctly, which you should never do on stream. But I think I did it correctly, though. That's 21 damage exactly, together with the Shade. And a pretty sick win there. Patron gets wrecked 2 games in a row. When does that ever happen? And a pretty nice win there for Orange. 2-0ing MephisToshka pretty fast here. And he's already at match point. Only has to get a win off of his own Warrior, which is probably going to be Patrons. So we might see a mirror here, depending on what Toshka wants to do, or if he does decide to play that Warlock.